Today, we're going to take those 3D images we got and turn them into 3D photos. Hey, what's up? It's Ryan. Welcome to another video. Thank you so much for being here. If we could just take a minute and really just hit that subscribe button, that would be awesome. Today what we're going to do is this past Tuesday when I put out my video about the Nishika N8000, I wanted to make a follow-up video to that to show you how to take the images we get and scan into our computer and take them from film images and turn them into those moving GIFs we've talked so much about. So it is actually a pretty simple project to do. We're only going to need two different programs. We're going to need Lightroom and we're going to need Adobe Photoshop. And that's really it. It shouldn't take us that long at all. I have my computer here. I have my film scanned into my computer already in Lightroom. So we're going to go over it. Grab yourself a glass of whiskey. Not too much. Don't get too drunk. Sit back, relax, and let's learn how to take those film scans and turn them into 3D images. So I have Lightroom open right here, and I have the image we're going to be working on here. This is one of the images I took when I shot with Dare like a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't in the last one, so I wanted to save this one to show you guys how to actually get this into that movable GIF. So right now I actually have the image that I want. It's edited and everything. It's ready to go. Like I said, I scanned it into my computer with my Epson V600, did some edits that made it look a little better, cleaned it up and all of that. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the top and we're going to click on Find. And then we're going to do Edit in Photoshop. And what that's going to do is it's going to take this image and bring it directly into Photoshop for us to edit right away. So now we have the Photoshop program open and our image is right there. So it's super easy to do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to the square tool. And once we get that highlighted, we're going to go over to the first image on the left, like the first image that pops up. And we're going to highlight it just around the actual photo. We're going to hit this is for a Mac. I don't know the key commands for a Windows, so just bear with me. We're going to copy, so Command V, and then we're going to paste. And you can see down here that we have our first layer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to click on background, and then we're going to do the same thing to the second photo. We're going to highlight it. We're going to hit Command C, Command V, and as you can see, we have a second layer that shows up. We're going to do that 2 more times real quick. All right, so now we have our 4 separate images and our 4 different layers for this project. So the next thing we're going to do is we want to turn off the background. Now we do that in Photoshop by clicking on this eye. Once we click on that, it is now gone. That background image, which was the main image, is now gone. Well, at least it's hidden. We're going to click on the first layer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring the opacity down to 50% or 49%, whatever. As you can see, it has made our first image very opaque. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go up and click on our arrow tool so we can grab that second image. We're going to click on the second layer and then we're going to drag it over to the other image and line it up as good as we can. But then we're going to zoom in and we're going to line it up. So I want to line it up where his eyes and face are the main anchor point. So once we have the photo on top of each other, we're just going to kind of like using our arrow keys, line everything up as good as we can. So this looks pretty good. So let's move on to the third image. We're going to zoom on out, collect the third image. Before we do that also, we want to just turn off the second layer so we can see what we're doing. Bring it over. Again, line it up as good as we can. Zoom in to make that fine adjustment. So that looks pretty good. We're going to deselect that and we're going to go and get our last and final image, the fourth image, and drag it on over. Zoom in one more time and line it up perfectly. So that looks good. Those are all on top of each other. All the images are now on top of each other. The next thing we're going to want to do is zoom out as far as we can to get the whole thing like this. We're going to want to crop to get rid of all of this negative space. We're also going to want to crop in kind of tight to make sure that we don't see the edges when the image starts animating. So we'll go over here, drag it on in, bring it tight on each side, tight on this side, tight on the top, and tight on the bottom. Once we do that, let's hit that arrow key again, and now you can see our image is there. We want to go back And for the first layer, the top layer, we want to bring that opacity back to 100%. So now you can actually kind of see movement here and there as we click on and off the layers. So now what we're going to do is, as we have all the layers selected, we're going to go up to Window and check on Timeline. It's already checked on there, and what will happen is at the bottom, this will pop up, and we want to make sure that we're on Create Frame Animation. So we will click that, and it starts a frame down here. And the one thing I like to do for pacing and for time is change it to Other, and change it to 0.13. That I have found out is the perfect amount of time between each frame to get a good smooth motion. We're gonna hit OK. Then we're gonna go down here to this, which is duplicate selected slides. We're gonna do that 6 times. 6 times is the magic number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we have 6 images. We're gonna go back to the first one, and this is all we have to do to really finish up. We're almost done. We're gonna turn off all the layers, and then we're gonna go to the next one, select the layer 2, turn off the first. Go to the next one, select the layer 3, turn off the first. Go to layer 4, select 4, turn off the first. Then we're gonna start going backwards to get that looping effect. We're gonna click 5, and we're gonna turn on 3. So we were at 4 before, now we're at 3. We're gonna click the last one and hit 2 and turn off 1. So now when we hit play, it'll loop back and forth the whole time. And we wanna make sure that we have on forever. Not 3 times, not once, we want this to loop forever. So now if we hit play, we can see that it's now moving. And what's good about this one is we cropped it in nice and tight so we don't see any of the edges, we don't see anything. But that's really it. It's simple, it's easy, and it's super fun to do this. I'm gonna hit stop, and now let's just export it real quick. We're gonna go up to File, Export. We're gonna save for web. And the reason we're gonna do save for web is because we wanna save it as a GIF. We can actually go down here and preview it. And what that'll do is that'll open a Safari preview so we can see what it'll look like in the real world. It's a little big, but look, that looks good. I like it. Dare looks good as usual. So what we'll do is we'll hit save. We'll choose an area we want to save it in. I'm going to save it in 3D files. Hit save, give it a second, and that's it. Now if we go to our files, you can see there it is. And now we have an image that is moving and showing that 3D effect that we used this camera for. So that's it. One thing I want to say real quick is this image as a GIF will not work on Instagram. You're going to want to take this image, like I said in the last video, bring it into something like Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro and make it a movie. Just really duplicate it like 4 or 5 times so you get a nice 30-second loop. Export that, and then you can upload that to Instagram. GIFs will not work on Instagram. So that's really it. That's it. It's super simple. You don't have to be a Photoshop whiz. I'm not a Photoshop whiz, but I was able to do this in under a few minutes. And now I have this awesome GIF and 3D photo that I took with a film camera. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I'm going to leave the link below where I learned this, just in case I missed something, you can see it. But thank you again so much for watching. I hope you like it. Please leave a comment, a like, a thumbs up. Message me if you have questions on Instagram at Ryan J. Leone or on here. But for now, remember to just shoot, drinks up, and I'll see you in the next one.